A number of religious spokesmen told the committee today that business needs to be restricted on at least one specific day and called on the legislature to draft an enforceable blue law. One spokesman said that a recent survey conducted in Birmingham showed that at least 85% of the merchants there favored closing their stores on Sundays. A number of representatives from large food store chains said the Sunday store openings was creating a hardship for them. A representative from Hudson Thompson here in Montgomery said the stores they own and serve will remain open on Sundays as long as their competitors remain open. But stores should be closed at least one day a week if for no other reason than to perform maintenance duties. Other supermarket representatives said they could not justify staying open on Sundays for economic reasons alone. A representative of Sears Roebuck, it said its stores in Georgia, which are open on Sundays, are having difficulty scheduling personnel, and they are forced to hire part-time employees. Del Champ's Food Stores, the first supermarket chain to remain open on Sundays, has challenged the present blue laws, and Del Champ's has a court suit pending to keep their stores open on Sundays on a continuing basis. Kerry Rich, the chairman of the Joint Legislative Committee, said there needs to be an enforceable law that everyone could live with. He said public hearings such as the one held today should be held in at least 3 or 4 locations around the state, and that possibly local referendums on the question should be placed before the voters. In his 7-page order, Montgomery County Circuit Court Judge Perry Hooper ruled that the ethics law passed last year by the legislature was unconstitutional because of its vagueness. Hooper also ruled that the 5-member Ethics Commission holds office illegally, and he enjoined them from acting under and enforcing any provisions of the 1975 Act. The order bars the Ethics Commission and all of its employees from taking any steps to enforce the ethics law. The Act had required state and local government officials to disclose information concerning their personal finances and also had prohibited conflicts of interest. Hooper ruled that it's a right of a liberty-loving people to have their laws made clear, and the ethics law is not spelled out in language that the ordinary person exercising ordinary common sense can sufficiently understand and comply with it. The court ruled further that because of the Act's vagueness, the Ethics Commission undertakes to exercise authority over citizens which it has never had the right to exercise authority. Hooper also ruled that the Act, which applies to officials in cities whose population is more than 15,000, while excluding officials in other cities, discriminates between persons of the same class and denies equal protection of the law to certain persons in violation of their constitutional rights. Today's ruling came as a result of a suit filed by the city of Mobile, which had sought to exempt local employees from provisions of the Act, but Hooper's ruling today went beyond their specific request and struck down the entire Act. George Mitchell, WSFA TV News, the Montgomery County Courthouse.
Might have been, and as a consequence, I feel very good about the entire campaign.
Governor, I've seen you campaign for a good long while. You never have called individuals by name or criticized your opponents by name. You have started this. Do you consider this to be good judgment on your part at this time?
I don't know whether it's good judgment or not. I have no way of knowing, except I've been highly criticized by Mr. Carter, Illinois and Florida. In fact, he made a statement the night before the election in Illinois, which affected thousands of voters. Black people are mistreated in Alabama. They're treated exactly like they are in Georgia. He also said he had never supported me and never intended to. And the facts are well known in Georgia and well known by people here in the news media here that he's been very kind in his statements about me when he ran for the governorship of Georgia. And also that he recommended me for the vice presidential nominee as I lay on my back in a hospital in Maryland when he thought I was through with politics and everything else. And now to make the statement that he has never supported me or never intended to, and that if I ever tell a lie or mislead you, you should not vote for me. Everybody in Georgia knows that Mr. Carter went all over Georgia, using my name in a very friendly way. What a great man George Wallace was in substance. He spoke in Red Level, Alabama, when I was shot at a rally. And at that rally, he pointed out what a great individual George Wallace was. And now to make statements in other parts of the country that he never has supported me and never intended to is entirely misleading, because he led people to think that he did support me. And therefore, it gets to a point in time when you get sort of fed up with people saying one thing here and one thing yonder and making statements that are absolutely false.
In Alabama, former Georgia Governor Jimmy Carter has candidates pledged to him in all 27 delegate districts for the May 4th primary. Governor George Wallace has delegate candidates committed to him in 27 districts. Mobile County is where he comes up one short. The Secretary of State's office expects to have a complete delegate list published by tomorrow. George Mitchell, WSFA TV News, the state capitol. Some 20 Democratic candidates or their representatives will attend tonight's fundraising dinner. The purpose of such a function is to raise money to assist Democrats who have Republican opposition now or in the November general election. Part of the festivities tonight include honoring former Governor James Folsom and his family as the state's Democratic Family of the Year. Also, Supreme Court Justice Howell Heflin will be recognized for his service to the Supreme Court and his streamlining of the state court system. Birmingham Mayor David Vann will speak, and John Henry Falk of Hee Haw fame and a staunch Democrat will also make appearances. George Mitchell, WSFA TV News. The race has not attracted any of the associate justices of the Alabama Supreme Court. Rather, it pits two members of the Alabama legislature against each other.
We are making such a terrible waste of the time of jurors and witnesses in our major metropolitan areas that what we're doing is driving off the most qualified people, driving them away from jury service, driving them away from stepping forward and identifying themselves as witnesses.
I think the major thrust is that we now have the framework, the constitutional framework, for a fine modern court system. Now the challenge and the opportunity for the next Chief Justice is to make that system work, to execute the plans. And I see that as the thrust of that office and the thrust of my campaign.
The campaign so forth, we do a profile of that.
Okay, good, good.